Hey everyone, so in this video I want to do a little comparison between carts. I have my innovative 36 inch cart here that I've been using for the last 4, maybe 5 years. And then I have this custom built cart that I recently just made that is literally just plywood and some pipes and fittings. And I kind of want to discuss why I built the cart, even after owning a nice cart like this, why I might start using this a little bit more. So let's get into it. Okay, so going over the pros of the innovative cart. Number one, it is very durable. So this thing has been with me for a number of years, and I've used it on tons of shoots. It is a little worn at this point, but it's fully functional. No issues with it. The only maintenance I've ever had to do with the cart is just air up the tires every now and then. But other than that, it's been really great, really solid. No complaints there. Another thing that I do like about the cart is it is foldable. So if you don't have a vehicle where you can fully wheel this up, you can fold it down so it fits with a lot of just standard vehicles. You can still use the cart, which is definitely a plus. I originally bought this cart thinking I would travel with it. So I've seen people who travel airline, they'll bring the cart and fold it down, and that will count as like one of the items. But for me, I just never felt comfortable traveling with the cart. I was always afraid that it was gonna get lost or damaged or whatever. And it weighs 100 pounds. So I just didn't, I thought I was gonna use it a lot more for airline travel, but I never actually ended up using it. So that was kind of a bummer, but at the same time, it worked out fine. I do love all the accessories you can get with innovative carts. You do pay a premium, obviously. So even these little hangers, they have these mid bar supports. I do have a middle shelf. It's not on the cart right now. And then I do have like C-stand holders. You can fit like 2 across there. All the accessories are great. There's a monitor arm, a center mast, pretty much anything you can think of, they have accessories for the innovative cart. But again, it is expensive, premium, very modular, but you're paying for it. Now, some things I don't like about the cart are the dimensions. So I had purchased the 36 inch and built my van around the 36 inch diameter, and I quickly realized it is a little awkward. So if you are loading up cases like this, there's always a little bit of a gap. And, you know, that could be perfect for like a tube, or some smaller items can go there. And that's totally fine. But when you're kind of working in a small van, every single inch counts. And it's a little, it just felt like there was a lot of wasted space all the time. And that was kind of a bummer, because there's nothing you can do about the dimensions of the cart. You can't adjust them at all. So you're kind of stuck with it. And, you know, they do have different variations of size, but it's usually lengthwise. So they have like a 40-inch cart and 42-inch cart. But I went with a 36-inch because that was going to suit my needs with my van. So, yeah, that's the one thing I do not like is you can't really put 3 crates across. There's just not enough space to do 3 crates. Obviously, if you had the 40-inch, this wouldn't be a problem, or the 42-inch wouldn't be a problem. So that is kind of a bummer for me, is just only being able to fit 2 crates, and then you have to have a smaller item there. It just means you can carry less things, which is kind of a bummer. You can probably get 2 crates on top, so essentially you could carry 4 on this bottom shelf, and then some longer items. And then, but then you can't put anything in the middle. So you won't be able to hold stands or anything like that, which is, you know, kind of defeats the purpose of having a cart like this, is to be able to carry stands and whatnot, or tripods. So that's kind of a bummer. Another part is the height of the cart. So because these casters, and they're great by the way, but they're just so big, it definitely elevates the height of the cart. So that is not a big deal if you have a bigger van, like a high roof van. Then anything you put on top will probably be fine. But in my case, with my smaller van, it pretty much, that's my height clearance right here. So anything that goes on top has to go within this little bracket here. Anything over, I won't be able to clear it. So that means everything on the top has to come off, which is a bummer. So then that defeats the purpose of just being able to wheel in and wheel out from a van. Okay, so getting into the custom made cart, the reason I wanted this and built it is because I wanted certain dimensions that the innovative cart just wasn't giving me. Certain width, certain height. So I just decided to build it myself because I have complete control over the dimensions and whatever. So this is kind of what I came up with. I can house 6 milk crates. These are crates from SIDIO. So right now I have 5 full crates and 2 half crates here in the middle. I have 6 C-stands, and these are fully built C-stands with the gobo heads and the arms and all that. That was important to me, to keep fully built C-stands. Then I also have little place to put some stingers right there. I do have additional stingers in here, but just a 50-foot and a 25-foot. And yeah, I mean, it's really simple. I wanted the C-stands on top just because they're so easy to get off and deploy. Sometimes when they're stacked in the middle, it's a little bit, you know, trying to get it in and not bumping all the stuff. It's a little more awkward having them in the middle. So I wanted them completely on the top. So that way you can access them straight from the top. Just pull them off, as opposed to sometimes if you're in a tight space and they're in the middle, you need clearance to kind of pull it out. Sometimes you don't always have that clearance. So I wanted them on the top. Okay, so getting into the dimensions here, I'm going to try and do this with one hand. I believe it is about 19 inches across. Yep, it's 19 inches across. Now, this top part does extrude a little bit, but that's intentional to mount the C-stand. So about 22-ish inches on top here, versus the innovative cart, which is about 25 inches across. So the dimensions that I built, this was all intentional, and I'll get into that in a minute. And then height wise, with the C-stands, I want to say from the knuckle here, it's about 44 inches, maybe closer to 45 inches. And then lengthwise, I'm not going to count from the C-stands because that's kind of optional whether you want the C-stands on there or not. It's about 44 inches lengthwise. And that is perfect dimensions for most low roof Sprinter vans. You might even be able to squeeze this into, you know, a SUV. If you take off the C-stands, you could always, you know, that's the great thing about this cart, is everything is modular. If I wanted to drop this down, see how there's like a pretty good gap here, I could drop it down a few inches and get a little more clearance out of it. There is some more clearance out of the bottom shelf there. So yeah, that's the one good thing about this cart, is I I can access everything without having to remove a single item besides the strap here. This one is stacked, so I would have to remove that. But everything else, even the bottom shelf, if I just release the bungee there, everything is accessible. So this one has some lighting in it. I have a 500 watt Xeon light and then a 300 watt Xeon light with the reflectors, and I just put it in this little padded protector case. But yeah, everything can come off. This one has 6 shot bags and some stingers, so it's pretty heavy. Put it right in the middle there. Some more LEDs, rags, grip, 60x, flex LED. And this was intentional, just to have everything labeled. I can have it labeled on this side and the other side, so that way it can be pulled from either side. Versus this, everything, you know, is still accessible, but if you have anything on top, you gotta remove the thing from the top and then grab it, and then quickly, you have a mess of cases everywhere. Everything has to be stacked off, versus this can just be grab what you need, put it back in. Same thing with that. Grab what you need, put it back in, just slides out. This one does have the padded case, so it is a little trickier to slide in and out, because you have to kind of remove it all the way to get access to it. But you don't have to use that padded case. I'm just trying them out, see if they work good. But yeah, everything's super accessible. Versus here, I know sometimes if you're not using the crates, then you have to use Pelican cases, which are great, but it's just one extra step to take it off, unload it, grab what you need, put it back on. Even a camera case here, you know, grab your camera. That works fine. I'm not saying that doesn't work. It's just I like having everything just slide in, slide out, and then it's all labeled. You can definitely label cases, that's not the issue. But yeah, so that's kind of some benefits to this whole system here, is you can, if you can imagine it, you can build it, which is crazy. I could, you know, keep adding to this if I want to. I could fit more C-stands. There's some more room to fit more C-stands. I can extend this, buy another pole, extend it out, and then be able to carry even more. I have these little handles, which I just wrapped in, I think this is like tennis racket handle material, so they're super comfortable. I do have just tennis balls until I can get some end caps here. I don't want to cut anything, which I tried to grind them down as best as possible, but for now I just have tennis balls here. I might keep them, or I might, you know, try and figure out another solution there. Another thing I like about this cart that I'm kind of working through right now is most of the time I have to carry some flags with me, some like 40 by 40 flags or 48 by 48 flags. And oftentimes with the innovative cart, you know, you can do the little trick with the grip clips and mount them to the side there and then bungee it around. That totally works fine, you know, if you have to carry some flags. But you know, you can maybe carry like 1 or 2. There's only enough space in there for like 1 or 2. So I was working on a solution to carry, I don't know, my whole set maybe. So I have that little pipe that just rests in there loose, and then same thing on this side. Just push it there. And now you got a big way to mount some flags here. And you know, there's tons of space. I could probably, I don't know, mount maybe 5 or 6, and same thing, use a little bungee to secure them. But it works really well with this cart because the dimensions are so much thinner you can still get through doors. It was always hit or miss whether I'd make it through the door. If I had any little things on the side, I always had to make sure there was nothing on the side to make it through most doorways, which is a little bit of a bummer. As opposed to this guy now, you know, I have tons of room on the sides to expand and still make it through doors. So yeah, I'm loving the size of this cart. Okay, so the big reason why I wanted to keep everything kind of slimmed down is because in most vans or most cargo vans, it's about 48 inches of clearance between the wheelbase there. So I can put 2 carts fully loaded right here and easy to deploy, versus the Innovative, I can only put 1 Innovative cart there and maybe one of the other, and then just have like a little walkway or stack cases or whatever. So that was kind of my intention with having, with building a cart like this, is I wanted certain dimensions. Now, you know, I'll probably utilize this cart for like grip equipment and lighting equipment, and I might dedicate this cart just to camera, so that way if I'm on a shoot I can quickly unload G&E, quickly unload camera, maybe audio, and then be ready to go for most situations. So yeah, that's kind of the main reason why I built this cart, is just the functionality and being able to customize the dimensions and all that good stuff. And just being able to build it how you want to build it is kind of nice. I drew up plans on what I would do, and it was pretty easy to execute. I'm not super handy. I don't own a ton of tools. I mostly use like a hand saw and an angle grinder to cut the pipe, and then everything else was just making it up as I went. Now it's a little janky on some parts, but once you have everything loaded and you paint it black, you can't even tell. And the biggest thing is it moves around so easy. I mean, even being super loaded with stuff, I have just one hand on it, and it's just easy to roll around and articulate in any scenario. And that's the same thing with the Innovative cart. I will say the Innovative cart is smoother. There's no doubt about that. But, you know, if you are okay with a slightly less smoother cart, then it's totally cool to build your own. And also, this has a huge payload capacity. I think I can get close to probably, I would say safe to say maybe 1,200, 1,500 pounds on this cart, and it would be fine. You know, same with the Innovative cart. You can get, you know, maybe I think 800 to 1,000 pounds on it, and it's fine. So this is definitely on par with feeling solid. There's no question about that. It feels super solid, easy to push around. So as you guys can probably tell in the background there, I did get a new cargo van. I got a GMC Savannah. This is a 2023 GMC Savannah. Only has, I think, maybe 8,000 miles on it, and I got a pretty good deal. I mean, the one thing with these cargo vans is they haven't changed the interior at all since like the 90s. But this thing runs super solid. It has a huge payload capacity. I want to say it's like rated for 5,600 pounds or something like that, which is like 3 times the amount of my last cargo van. So I can definitely fit a ton of stuff in here. I've already started to build it out. I have a false floor in. I have some sandbags. I have my flag box here. And then honestly, I'm not gonna add any shelves to any side. My goal is to have everything on wheels. Kind of like, you know, when you have a box truck and you have a taco cart, you have a flag cart, you have a does all cart, muscle cart. I kind of want that mini version of that and have it everything on carts. And then having, you know, one cart, if I'm doing like a one man band shoot, just having that cart easily accessible right there. So I can quickly just deploy it, leave the other carts in here. But the goal is to have 4 carts in here that have everything organized, all my stands, all my equipment ready to go. Now there's going to be certain things that I won't have, so I'll probably put I have a bunch of rags up here. I have like I said, my flags, my shot bags, sandbags down here. I have a little compartment here that I might use for like heavier duty combo stands. So that part I'm going to leave and not load up on a cart. But everything else I'm going to have on carts. And the reason why I want everything on carts is because I've maybe had 2 jobs that I can ever think of that I could truly work off of my van. One of them, I was able to pull into a warehouse, and where we shot was literally, if the van's here, we shot like right there. So I could definitely work off of the van for that. But I've had 2 jobs like that in the last 3-4 years. Everything else is get it on a cart, walk 5 minutes, walk 10 minutes to location, whatever. You're in a hotel, you're in a conference room, you're in some building, and you don't have the ability to work off your van. That's been most of my shoots, and it just feels like I'm wasting so much time just building carts, stacking things, just to have to come back and grab some more stuff. And it just, for me, I'm trying to maximize efficiency. So I want, essentially, I'll have this cart, I'll have another cart that is probably similar to this that might have more lighting fixtures. I might dedicate one just for lights, and then this one just for grip, and then have one for camera, and then, you know, maybe another one for something else, whatever. AKS, I can just roll in 4 carts for, and this is for big shoots where we have a full crew. It's not just for a one-man band. I think one-man band stuff, I can definitely just utilize something like this. Have one crate for camera, maybe another crate for camera, and then lighting, grip, whatever. I can stack 2 tripods on top of here, ratchet them down. This would be great for one-man band stuff, no problem there. So like I said, I might have one-man band cart kind of off to the side here. Carts that don't get used very often will go in that side there. This one I might keep some more accessible stuff on this side so I can access it through that door. And then maybe another cart here that might not get used as much either. So I'm still tinkering around with it. There's still plenty of stuff I want to do on this van build. Got to cover the wheel wells. I'll make a whole video about the van soon, but right now I just wanted to focus on these carts and show you guys the difference between the two. The total cost for this cart to build was maybe $400, and that's plywood, casters, pipe, fittings, all of that, for maybe around 400 bucks. I probably spent a little bit more because, like I said, I'm not as handy, so I might have had to have, you know, cut the wood twice, or I might have needed more pipe than I thought, or whatever it was. You know, I probably spent a little bit more. Also, the hardware is pretty expensive. The bolts and nuts and all that does add up. So yeah, I would say somewhere between $400 to $500 if you're building your first one. Maybe you can get it down to 400 if you get good at it, or if you're pretty handy. So 400 to 500, and then 3,000. So for the innovative cart, I think I paid about 3,000 bucks, and then that was with a couple of accessories. I probably have another $1,000 worth of accessories that that I don't have on here right now. But you tell me the price difference. Like, is it really worth 3,000 plus dollars, where you can build, I don't know, 3 or 4 of these guys for 2,000? Not everyone has the space to, or the need to have 4 of these carts. That's definitely overkill. I just know, for me, I'm trying to make it as easy as possible, just to load in and load out and not have to Jenga everything into the van after a shoot. That's always the worst. If you have a big crew and I have Jenga'd everything into the van, I'm the only one that knows how to put it in there. So the rest of the crew, they're super nice. They ask, what can we do to help? But most of the time, I don't know how to direct them to help, because it has to go in a certain way. So I always feel bad having people stand around kind of waiting for me to finish, but now it will hopefully be a little bit easier just to roll up 4 carts and load out, load in. It's going to be a lot quicker. So that's the goal, and that's why I built this cart, just to be able to do that.